Hi, I'm Justin Hillgrove with Imps and Monsters. I'm working on my comic right now, so I'm going to show you how I do my inking. I've started my comic on a pretty smooth paper, because then when I scan it I won't get as many little bits of the texture in my scan. And I'm just on this panel here. I'm using some Copic multi-liners. I've got like a 0.3, 0.2, 0.7, and then my usual Faber-Castell Pitt brush pen. And I also have this nice brush pen as well that I'm using. But I'm actually going to start with my 0.3 and just kind of, I like to start with a thinner pen and just kind of sketch out more or less what's happening in the panel. The panel actually looks kind of boring until you start adding the line thickness. That's where the line variation is where the picture actually starts to get interesting. So it's important once you get your lines down to actually add some variation to it. So I'm done using my 0.3. You can see the image it's all there, but it's kind of boring and nothing really stands out. So I'm going to use my 0.7 now and just come in and kind of add some line variation. The items that are closer to the foreground, I'm actually going to give them a thicker line. And actually, I'm going to mess around with my brush pen a little bit. You can see it's just kind of instant line variation. I really like the brush pen because it just feels a little more, it's almost random. So I'm just going to keep doing this for a little bit until I get my line widths that I'm happy with. So I'm happy with my line variation. I'm just going to come in and add a little bit of just line shading here with my background. And then I'll let it sit and dry, and I'll erase the pencil lines. You can see while I worked, I didn't really stick to my pencil lines very well. I use them more just as placeholders. But then there's plenty of room to go in and do little details afterwards. Alright, so there's the ink. So I'm just going to use my gummy eraser. I let it dry for a little while, and you want to test it. Depending on your pen, it can smear when you go to erase, even quite a while after you do it. Just going to get all the pencil off of there, and then I'm going to pull out my my favorite, my Copic pens, my Copic sketch markers. I use a C3 and a C5 pretty much for everything that I do. And I'm going to start with my C5, start with the darker. No, I'm not. I'm going to start with my lighter. And I'm just going to start with some basic shading first. Shade all the characters here. The nice thing about these brush tips is it lets you use them a little bit more like a brush, so you can get a nice little fades. So I've switched to my C5, and when you're doing black and white like this, contrast is kind of king. So I'm actually going to just block out my background a little bit here so that my foreground pops forward. And then I'll do some more of the more extreme shading with this same marker too. Well, this is how I do the inking and the markering. Depending on what you're doing, you might actually want to use the textures and not use any grayscale, depending on how it's being printed. But for what I'm doing, these markers and the inks I'm doing work great. Alright, so there's my finished panel. There. Well, thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please like, share, and subscribe so you don't miss any upcoming videos. Also, if you want to help us out, you can click through the links below or go to Lasting Impression Art and click through the Amazon.com link. We get a small commission for purchases made through those links. And we appreciate you helping us out. It's at no extra cost to you. If you want to learn more about me and my art, go ahead and click the link below to impsandmonsters.com. Thanks again for watching the video.